John Redding, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Derek.
I watched your final table, and I got the sense that it was almost as if you knew it was yours. I mean, only 8 hands of heads-up play. Can you talk about that overall experience? It must have been so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's always crazy when it will be an experience like that. So, I mean, it's there, and after the first hand, I think it was the ace-king hand versus ace-9 for the first guy that got knocked out. After that hand was over, I just felt really relaxed. That was really special.
Yeah, it must have been special. I mean, first ever gold bracelet. That's what poker players play for, right?
Definitely.
Can you talk about the Hyper Hold'em? I mean, you've got a special place in Las Vegas lore now, the first ever tournament of its kind. You win it, but it's so fast, 20-minute blinds. How do you adjust your play? Because those chips must have been flying.
Yeah, early on, you just have to be creative. You just, for that type of structure, you just have to go, I'm just going to win this hand, and then do everything you need to do, check raise, bluff, whatever, to win pot after pot. Because normally you're just not going to be waiting around for cards. But obviously you got to get some cards too, so it's a combination of both.
Do you have a special place for the bracelet, and can you describe it for us? I mean, this is the biggest honor in poker, and you've got it, man. You've got something that everyone wants.
Thank you. I would just put it up in my room. I'm not a flashy person by any means, so it would just kind of sit in my room.
I mean, some people have those bracelets under lock and key, framed in a mantle. You just got it up in the room, huh?
No, it won't be that secure, but I mean, I'll definitely not just like have it sitting around somewhere.
Now, I asked you on Twitter after you won the bracelet if you'd do an interview, and you responded, well, maybe after the series because I'm loving the grind. I mean, that's a summer to behold, isn't it? I mean, a month and a half of play, and I know you cashed 7 times, 2 final tables. I mean, you must have been playing every day. How do you do that?
You just have to come down with the intention of party, drink at different times. Right now, I'm just going to play poker. I mean, that's kind of the reason I'm here this summer. So
you think a lot of guys get lost in that? They're down in Vegas. It's the party atmosphere, and they get sidetracked by all the extra things that go on, and their focus maybe isn't poker?
Oh, definitely. In 2012, when I was here for this long of a period of time before, I was sidetracked, and I didn't do well at poker. So this time, I was just coming down, and it's like, I'm just going to focus on poker.
Well, you focused on poker, and you did quite well, man. It really sets you up well going into 2016 and the rest of this year, for that matter. You final tabled the little 1-for-1 drop as well. That's special because some of the buy-in goes to charity. You came fourth for another $212K. I mean, can you describe the difference between the 2 final tables, aside from the fact that you won the first one?
Well, the second one was, I was fortunate to just be very relaxed there. Like, I was just ready to do everything it took to actually try to get the bracelet. I mean, the money, of course, is really nice, but I really wanted to try to get a second bracelet in one summer because it's such a rare feat to have something like that. So I had that chance. It didn't pan out, and no worries. It's still been a great summer, but that was my sole focus on that table.
Do you think the second final table you were more relaxed because of the first one?
Sure. Yeah, I just had prior experience just that summer, so it was at least semi-fresh in my mind of what that experience was going to be like with the crowds and everything. Like, I've done all right. I've done well online in the past, but you don't have crowds then. You don't have people right there next to you and lots of people. So just having that actual atmosphere changes a lot.
I got to ask you, you talked about the rail. What's it like when you've got friends and family there and every turn of the card could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars? You talk about some of the situations you were in, the all-ins. I mean, you got to be on the right side of the flop of those ones, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, you gotta have your hands whole, especially when you're all in. So if that doesn't happen, it's, well, but try next time, I guess.
But not many players. I mean, I was down there for the first ever time this year. I played 2 events. Don't ask me how I did. But I got to take in a final table, the one Nick Pietrangelo won, and you get the sense of the crowd, and they're all in. You're going over to the rail. You've got friends there. Not many people get to experience that. That is special, isn't it?
Very special. I was like, I feel blessed to actually have friends that came to those tables and watched, because that definitely alleviated some of the stress for me too. It's like, oh sweet, I have people that are there to watch, so it does wonders.
So what happens now? You're running good. You've had a good series. Do you take a break or do you get back at it?
My whole plan, even before I came down here this summer, is I was actually going to go back to grad school this fall for counseling psychology. So I'm still going to do that because in the past, like 2010, 2011, I used to travel a lot, play big buy-in events, and it was like kind of fresh off of doing really well online. So I could be able to do that, but I got really burned out. So I just had to figure out how to balance my life better. And I found this is the way to do it. So
Yeah, let's talk about balance because you just went through a month and a half of intense poker. You're going back to school. Do you think it's important to have that education as a fallback in case you need it?
honestly, maybe just anything that helps you just feel a lot more balanced. Like for me personally, I was just very burned out when all I was doing was traveling all the time and playing poker. Like I actually had some relationships kind of fall apart because of that. It's a stressful life, and you're constantly traveling, so it puts a lot of strain on relationships.
And it
So
must
it's just
affect your play sometimes too. If you're running bad, you're traveling, and you got more money going out than coming in sometimes. How do you prepare yourself for that to stay on the level?
you just gotta. One of my friends actually came up with like the best kind of quote. You just gotta pay attention to every single hand. Just make sure you're making the best decision at every given time, and the results will come. I mean, one way or the other. If you know you're making the best decisions that you could possibly make at this given time, it's like, all right, well, at least I know I'm playing well. So just got to keep at it, and it'll be a grind, and you'll have to be resilient because there's a lot of downs, of course, with this game too. So
Can you run us through a typical day of poker for you outside of the World Series?
outside of the World Series, I mean, just kind of depends on the day.
Are you playing cash games? Are you playing online?
I used to play online. I don't play much online anymore. I just played pre-Black Friday on Stars and Full Tilt. But now I've transitioned more to just playing live cash games and local tournaments and stuff like that.
Now you've had some success in Omaha, both pot limit and high low. Omaha high low is a game that I play every day. I love that game. Do you think it's important in today's poker to dabble in all the games?
I think there comes a time where Hold'em just gets boring for a lot of people. It's a great game and it will always be around, but if that's all you're doing, especially if you're just playing poker and all you're doing is Hold'em, I don't know. For me personally, I just felt I needed something else because I was just getting really sick of Hold'em, especially 10-handed ring Hold'em. It was getting boring. So, like, if you just play PLO and like stud and stuff like that, it's just something different, and then you can learn that game.
And going forward too, for a competitive guy, that wants bracelets, some of those other games have smaller fields, so that might be advantageous.
Sure, and there's just a lot of spots too where people don't have those games figured out as well yet. I mean, they're still gonna be amazing players at it, but you can find softer spots too. And it's better if you just diversify your like poker repertoire too. If you're able to play a bunch of different games, you don't have to just wait for like the best no limit hold'em games to come along.
Hey, I got to ask you, I'm from Canada. How does a guy from hockey country, St. Paul, Minnesota, become a poker pro? I mean, are you a sports guy, competitive by nature?
I kind of just dabble in a bunch of different things throughout my life. I mean, I did tennis in high school. I did soccer and baseball, kind of elementary school, basketball, middle school. And poker was something where I just kind of watched it on TV and saw like a bunch of college kids get into these WPT final tables and close to like WSOP final tables and stuff like that. It's like, oh, this looks like a lot of fun. So just going to kind of just pay attention to it and see if I can learn and maybe be one of these guys.
Well, listen, John, we're not going to keep you too long, but I know you were quoted by WSOP as saying that the WSOP is the biggest stage for anyone who plays poker. Do you feel you have some validation now as a poker player with the bracelet?
I mean, it feels good. Validation up to other people perceiving me. I don't care personally for myself, so just kind of see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you what. They say there's two categories: those who have a bracelet and those who don't. I'm in one, and you're in the other, buddy. Listen, congratulations. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Of course, Derek. No problem. Thanks for having me.